Hey there, podcasters.
Hey,
How
good
you
buddy.
doing?
Hey, thanks for listening.
How you doing?
Actually, we are super appreciative. It still amazes us that we have so many podcast listeners from like all around the world who enjoy this every day. So we're glad to make another show happen.
So, hey, today in the show, let's see. What do we talk about? Caffeine overdoses. I mean, I don't know if it came out in the show yesterday. Like, I was a wreck yesterday. Like,
I think it probably hit you then much later, like with the fact that you maybe... You'll say it, but like you overdid it with how much caffeine you had by the end of the day, and but you were so tired.
I was like, it was bad. But we're back today. Back into the show here. We take some of your text messages about AirPods and sushi and things of that nature. We talk Cyberpunk 2077. It's actually kind of a nerdier than usual podcast because we look at that. We talk about the new Superman costume.
Sure.
We talk about anime.
We are hitting all that.
We talk about the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Game console reselling.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's
it?
all. But that's still a lot.
Do we pad it with anything else?
Rat bites.
Okay.
Google search data for the year.
Now that's fascinating.
It really is.
When you're done with the podcast, if you like that sort of stuff of like year-end lists, that's a good one to go back and see the rest of them.
Yeah. And Nikki solves the mystery of the monoliths. Mm-hmm. So that FAO Schwartz.
Oh, yeah, that's included, too. Someone was telling us, they texted after we talked about the break, FAO Schwartz, the toy store, did close down for a while. And then they reopened a few years ago or something back at that location. So they'd been gone, but I think they did come back.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Nikki and I are going to go...
I would like a snack. I'm going to go get a snack.
I got a lot to do, and I'm going to go get started.
Did you include that part in there about getting everything done before next Thursday?
I didn't put it in there.
You should have. We got to get everything done before next Thursday. We're doing a special RIOT Ugly Christmas Sweater Party. We'll give you more details as we get closer to if you haven't caught on to it. But next Thursday on the 17th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, we will be hosting a Facebook Live show, which is our Ugly Christmas Sweater Party. We'll do food fights. We'll do our gift exchange. And we really just love to hang out, and you can actually watch us host this special show. So if you want more details, riot.radiou.com. But I would get ready for next week if you could.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy. We'll talk soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
The Riot isn't all bad, but this is the worst of the Riot. Radio U.
So Steven texted yesterday afternoon. He's been catching up on Riot podcasts, and here's what he says. For the Riot, I really enjoyed listening to Obi rant on the podcast about the AirPods Max.
There was a couple opportunities you had.
I took it personally. I took it very personally.
And it wasn't that they have these things. It was just purely based on the price tag. That's what he took personally.
Oh, I took it personally. It's a lot of money, but I kind of get it. My hi-fi over-the-ear set was that, and it can't take calls or do any magic. I hope Nikki gets a pair. She's in the AirPods gang.
Wait, no one said I had to get one. I'm sure it would probably be me out of everybody, but I don't want to spend that money, so.
All right. But I just want you to know, in Steven, you've got an advocate.
Okay, he thinks I should.
Right. But here's the part that gets me is that he texted again an hour later.
Yeah.
He was catching up on podcasts, and he says, also, Riot, I'm a few days behind, but yes, have done gas station sushi.
Oh, from when we talked about the poor individual who had some gas station sushi and developed just something horrific.
Got a tapeworm.
Yeah, and just the details on that and like how they found out and what that cost with the body. But that led to us talking about, gas station food.
Yes, he says, I can confirm, bad idea.
Bad idea.
It's just funny to me that the person that's advocating for the $550 headphones is also the person that has had gas station sushi.
How are you saving money in order to afford the headphones? You get your sushi from a gas station. You don't have to change your taste, Obi. You just have to change where you're getting it from.
Okay, all right. You know what? That's fine. So
every dollar saved can just go towards it.
Yeah. Okay.
Stephen, thank you so much for texting and catching up.
Also want to say hey to Glenn texting, telling us gyms are open in New York. He's from New York State. And so he sent a picture of us and some of his bros that are hanging out and lifting these days. I should be like you. I'm really, really sure.
Well, we were interesting in, it was interesting. We were talking about an article about how has it been for working out at home since you're getting close to the end of the year. A lot of people stopped going to gyms and now you're trying to work at home. And then that led to our discussion of what working out at home.
What are you talking about?
And how well it's been going. So he was commenting on that.
What do you mean? Nikki, I also have a nice story here from Brittany. She sent it to us. So if you want, I could either give you the short version or the long version later.
Let's do the long version later.
Okay,
yeah,
so we'll get to Brittany's story later. Remember, you can always text the Riot. We love to hear from you. 877-2-RADIO-U. Always interested, especially in a good gas station sushi story. Or anything gas station related, really.
That's a classic.
What's worse than the worst of the Riot? The worst of the Riot podcast. Yeah, you did this to yourself. Podcast. Riot. Radio U.
Let's talk about the story that Brittany sent us yesterday. You know, Nikki and I have a hard time telling good news stories because we don't know how to react.
Well, there's always a chance of like, well, what else is there? Is this real? Because we just read so many bad news stories that we're just so used to it.
It's true. So we've got a Dairy Queen in Brainerd, Minnesota. It's about 100 miles north of Minneapolis. And people in there ended up, you know, they did the whole pay it forward thing.
Oh, through the drive-thru?
They had over 900 cars that paid for each other's food.
Oh, that's a long time.
It is.
Was that like over several days then? Or how many people clock in at the Dairy Queen in, you said Minnesota?
In Minnesota. It took 2.5 days. It was about $10,000 in sales.
Aww.
And it was people paying for each other's food. It's a good story. It's good.
Now, wait, I know what you're saying. Like, you're still paying for something. You're just, unless you're the one who happens to be in front of, like, the party bus behind you and there's a lot more, it'd probably be around what you were spending anyways. But it's a nice gesture.
Sometimes I'm known to hit a drive-through just for some soda. So that's the thing that gets me is like I'm there for soda and I gotta
you
pay for
go back in.
The family of 6 behind me and their evening meal after a day of not eating at all. Like,
But it would have been fine if you would have been in there in the moment. I would have been like, well, wait, could I go back and get some more? I should have been actually getting some stuff when you went through there. I always think it's the worst, though. Who's the person who stopped the 2-day pay it forward? Are they going to share any of that information?
See, that's why, Nikki, leaders go first. So somebody has to be the one to say, all right, I'm cutting it off.
When it ends? Well, maybe it was Dairy Queen itself when it's like 2.5 days later.
You know what the manager says? During times like this, it kind of restores your faith in humanity a little. The way the world is now, you see a lot of anger, tension, and selfish behavior. What we witnessed was pure kindness, and it was a breath of fresh air, really.
Yeah, it was. It does seem like it. And they say sometimes it goes on for a couple of cars. Sometimes it doesn't. It just kept going and going, and it was a good thing.
Yeah, so there it is. I guess, if I wasn't doing the riot and I was working somewhere else, I would be like, you know what? That's a great way for all of us to do something great today. Maybe you can't afford to pay for the people behind you, but find little ways today to show kindness in the world.
Actually, that is perfectly wonderful to do. But for me, I guess it's hard.
Here's the radio you take.
No, it's not the radio you take. But when you're paying it forward, it's not like the Dairy Queen at the start of winter in Minnesota is having a consistent amount of cars. So, did they just keep it going even if it had been a while since someone had been in front? Normally, it just naturally ends if there's no car there.
Oh,
you get what I'm saying?
No, I assume that they probably had some downtime, but then the next person comes in.
The following morning when they started it again, they said, oh, by the way, the day before the person paid for your...
Wait, are you saying, are you saying they're shady?
No, I'm not saying it's shady. I'm just saying normally it doesn't last as long because naturally they don't have a consistent amount of cars.
Well, Nikki, as you said, Dairy Queen, Minnesota this time of year.
How many people are going through to get ice cream?
I don't know.
Could be good.
Nikki, Dairy Queen offers a lot more than ice cream, including baskets and burgers.
Food baskets, you mean? Not just baskets?
No, not just not just an array of baskets, but, lots of combos and meals. And
true, I guess, for dinner.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really an all-day thing.
You're right. But it is nice. Any type of actual natural act of kindness is definitely nice.
Yeah. So, way to go, DQ, Minnesota.
All the people that went through.
Come on. Yeah. Right.
And the
here.
one that ended it.
Who were you?
Every time you see this article, you're like, that was me.
It's the worst of the riot on RadioU.
Yesterday, Cyberpunk 2077 was released.
Finally.
Yeah, and it's been, I mean, it's not funny, but it is funny. So basically, the footage that you have seen of this game, if you've been paying attention, has really come from some kind of high-end PCs and stuff. And they put a pretty rough review embargo on it. It really comes down to this. If you have a PlayStation 4, I don't mean a PlayStation 4 Pro. I'm talking like just an old school base level PlayStation 4. People are like, what the heck?
You can't run it?
Is this? The memes have been so great. So great.
It's not powerful enough to play it like you thought it was going to be played.
That's exactly right. You went in expecting a Ferrari and you got a bicycle.
If that even.
Unicycle.
A hand-me-down bicycle. Someone else's bicycle.
One of the tires is flat.
Oh, that's bad.
People are furious.
Were they transparent about that? I know sometimes when it comes to like PC games, you get a bit of a heads up on the specs that are encouraged for it, but were they expecting everybody to be out of the PlayStation 4 already?
I don't know. It's one of those things where here's the thing that's tough. Like this company, what are they called? CD Projekt Red. These are the guys behind the Witcher series. They started out as one of the smallest, like a small indie company that got the rights to make these video games from, I don't even remember what country they're in, Poland maybe. And they have grown into one of the largest game companies in the world over the last few years. Some of it's been on The Witcher 3. Some of it has been on the promise of Cyberpunk 2077. And people are just like, man, they have gone from, they're the perfect company and they do everything right. They've always done everything right. And we love them,
so
too.
There's a flaw. It's a big flaw that everybody's noticing now.
It has spun around and people are not happy.
So it's not just the PlayStation 4, it's also the Xbox One.
Yes.
And now people are making it a point to try to get a machine to play it and stream it to show how bad it is. So it's become a thing. There's lots of crashes, choppy gameplay, freezes, lots of weird stuff that they are showcasing to show how it is playing on an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4.
So it's dividing the community, Nikki. Some people are saying those consoles are 7 years old. What did you expect? And other people are going, hey, it was really some false advertising.
Really? And it's not like a patch could fix that. I mean, it's still those consoles are just so limited.
I mean, there is an element of even when they released 7 years ago, they weren't really on the cutting edge.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, you're dealing with some dated technology, but it really has been a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Like they're showing you, video games are like that. They'll show you something and then when you get it, you're like, wait. This doesn't seem right.
Well, they want you to then, invest in the better console so that'll work out. I'm watching one guy play. It is so choppy. It is shocking. That's what they're saying. Shocking's the word.
Yeah, the people at Penny Arcade many years ago coined the term the bullshot. And so bullshot is when they show you a shot from a game that there's absolutely no way the game's going to look like that.
It won't actually look that good when you play it.
Yeah, and it looks like Cyberpunk's full of that.
So if you got it and you're still using a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One...
Don't open it! Keep the receipt!
Don't panic, but OB is telling you the truth on that. It might not be... It's not you... Well... It's both you and them. It's just not going to work together.
Watch some YouTube videos before you crack that plastic, okay?
Because it might not be something you want to keep.
We've got an archive of everything stupid the Riot has ever said at your fingertips. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
So the all-important question, if you got bitten, that's probably regional. I done got bit.
I don't know. Whichever way you want to say it.
So, rat bite, at work, as Jerome is saying. He says that he would quit, by the way. Would you leave your job? Well, it seemed like just a theoretical question, but at a Chipotle in New York City, it was real.
And there's pictures, and it's a real big rat.
They had
more than one.
4 people that got a rat bite.
So they're saying at this location, it was a infestation, a overtaking of the place with rats.
They've got pictures of avocados that have had big bites taken out of them.
Who doesn't like an avocado?
Rats.
Who doesn't like that? You can forgive them for that.
Well, what else is that rat going to put on its toast?
Better to eat that than. And have you seen the prices still? I mean, it's always expensive, but better for them to eat the avocados than you.
Yeah, and no, really, there is 4009 Broadway in New York. That is a restaurant where Chipotle is. It went from being like we're thinking about closing it to nah.
Well, I think it was one where orders were just going out. I don't know if you could go.
Oh, you don't know that it was an inn?
I don't know
like
for a while if you could go there, but, John texted and said, I don't quit, but I definitely tell someone. The problem is the managers and everybody there, they said, knew all about this. So telling someone there wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah, it sounds like, hey, I just saw a rat. And they're like, hey, good for you. Good times.
Good. Are you going back to work now? So a lot of people were very upset that their safety and the cleanliness of the location for Chipotle was not being adhered to.
They say they killed dozens of the rats by stomping on them, hitting them with broom handles, and dropping boxes on them.
And based on the pictures, again, these weren't like, I didn't think they get this big, except in movies. I didn't know they were like that. So, you know when you go to squish a spider and you're like, sorry, spider, but it's just easy. I can't imagine you're actually killing a pretty big creature here. It's a lot to ask employees.
ROUSs? Rodents of unusual size? I don't think they exist.
So I think normally what would have been done is you would have closed and a company would have come in, take care of the problem. But they said that that's not what was happening and people were getting mad. I would do exactly what someone finally did. You make a stink about it online. Because they're not paying attention or caring. This place still stayed open, but once it started to make the rounds for social media, it finally closed down.
That's the thing about social media. On the one hand, I hate it. On the other, it's the only equalizer left in society.
Sometimes it's the only way to get something done.
All of a sudden, a company finds out there's a picture of you taking a bath in the sink at Wendy's. You've done it for 10 years. It's your whole life.
Now someone's saying no.
Now there's a picture and it's a big deal.
I forgot about that one.
Whatever.
Well, Keith, good call on this. I just retire from the multi-million-dollar lawsuit settlement. I would for sure, if you got bit, there's protocol that should be followed if you were bit by a rat at work.
Protocol was you drop a box on it.
That's not it. You should be going to the doctor. How can you go to a doctor now, though? It's so hard. It'd be like 2 days later if you were negative with your test, then you could finally get in your poor rat bite.
Do you have COVID? No, but I think I have rabies. You're fine. Stay home.
You're fine. You're going to wait a few days, and we'll teledoc you. You're like, but how can you tell?
Wait, is that foam at the corner of your mouth? Nah.
No, you're fine then.
Some shaving cream you missed.
But I would for sure be a part of something.
You're basically listening to a real-time cringe compilation. This is The Riot on RadioU.
Nikki, I'm going to give you a list of symptoms. I want you to see if you can guess what these are symptoms of.
Okay.
Irritability.
Oh.
Fever. Headache. Insomnia.
Yeah.
Increased thirst.
Yeah.
Your favorite. Diarrhea.
No.
Dizziness.
Mm-hmm. Is it COVID stuff? Or?
It's not. It's a caffeine overdose.
It's a caffeine overdose. Wow, really?
Yeah.
Basically, you're like dehydrating yourself, so probably some of that is from dehydration.
Yeah. I don't think I had a full-blown one, but I was pretty close to a caffeine overdose yesterday. I drank a pot of coffee in the morning. I also drank essentially 2 44-ounce drinks while I was here. That was just in the morning.
Oh, so you had too much.
Oh, I was so tired.
But it didn't fix it, and you kept trying, and you were in a cycle.
I was trying.
It was awful.
So it's a thing out there.
Yeah.
It didn't help.
Like
it did. Like I was awake.
Sure. But how much do they say really starts to, like, how much caffeine do you really need to hit what those symptoms might be what you notice?
Well, they say in a healthy adult, you should be able to have 400 milligrams of coffee per day.
Let's say we're not the healthiest. We're close, but we're not completely.
Well, if you're a pregnant woman, you should keep it to 200 milligrams a day.
Oh, I didn't think you're supposed to even have that much. Wow.
I don't know. So 200 milligrams a day and no more than 2 bottles of wine.
That's it.
No, that's not true. So the half-life of caffeine in your blood ranges from 1.5 to 9 hours. So that is, half-life is something that they're able to usually, what's the word I want, like predict accurately. And then after that, a lot of factors get involved. So let's take a look at some caffeine here. Cup of black coffee could be anywhere from 50 to 200 milligrams of coffee.
Just remember, normally the size of your coffee caffeine you think that you're drinking 1 cup of coffee, but you're not. You usually can get 2 or 3 in what you think is 1 serving.
Well, they say that's a 12-ounce cup because finally somebody somewhere is getting realistic about how we're drinking our coffee.
Because normally it was not so much.
Black tea, you get 30 to 80 milligrams. Soda, 12 ounces. So that would be a can of soda, 30 to 70 milligrams. Red Bull, just the crappy little can, 80 milligrams.
Yeah.
A bar of chocolate.
Bring in the bangs, because that's where the numbers are shocking.
Who the heck
They're
knows?
Shocking.
Bang, I think it's delicious.
Oh, Eric's on it right now.
It's so good.
He loves this key lime one. It's just something.
Oh, it's amazing. And yet it's one of those things that, like, I can't.
Well, it's hard because you're not just drinking that. That's what everybody has to watch. You have a couple of cans of those, and then you're having coffee, and then you're having normal soda. So it just all adds up during the day. And before you know it, you're dizzy, and you need some water.
Other items on the list: no-dose caffeine tablets, 200 milligrams each. Excedrin migraine, 65 milligrams. So there is a list of caffeine. But you got to be careful because you don't want to OD on caffeine. They also say, get a load of this. These are the more serious things that can happen. Those are the light symptoms.
Yeah.
You can also have trouble breathing, hallucinations, chest pain, uncontrollable muscle movements, convulsions.
Oh, that's awful.
So just be careful.
Oh, because some of the other symptoms, it's just
You'll get over it.
just a day. Like, who hasn't had a
day.
a terrible day like that just based on other things? So,
Quite frankly, that day probably was bad before you started because you needed all that caffeine.
Well, and then you keep going. You feel the effects of how much caffeine you had the day before. So then you're feeling some of these symptoms. You feel worse. So what do? The next morning you wake up and then you need a little bit more to kind of combat it.
Well, I haven't had any coffee yet. I'm going for some now.
Okay.
So
but we're doing less than we did yesterday?
Well, already.
You're less than yesterday.
Yeah. Yesterday, you know what? I lost control.
And you're back today, though.
Today, I'm back.
Back and stronger and able to handle it.
It's fine.
This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
It is weird to me how sometimes something happens and you're just like, how did we miss that? Like, how is it that a pop-up ad or an article or something did not cross our path and we just completely missed it? And that's exactly what happened yesterday.
What did we miss?
Last night, the Grinch was a live musical event that happened on NBC.
Did we really miss something?
No.
Are you just saying if anybody wanted to see it, we did miss it that way?
When I say we missed something, I mean we were not present for it. Not that there was something wonderful that happened and we're, quote unquote, missing it.
I know that some have been done, and we talked about this when they were doing like the press in the very beginning, that it was the guy from Glee who was going to be the Grinch, and I think they were doing it in the UK, not here, but, obviously putting it on for a live event. So that was yesterday.
Oh, so it was in the UK.
I think so, because it had to be, I think it was in London because they couldn't do it in New York for different COVID rules.
Sure.
And then that was right at the start when London and parts of Europe were going into their newer quarantine over like Thanksgiving and stuff.
Right.
So they were still able to continue, but it had to follow certain rules.
All right. Well, I did not see The Grinch last night. I'll
People
say
were
this.
not really into some of the artistic take on the Grinch with his costume and character.
Like, to me, what did you guys think it was going to be?
Well, it can't be like the movie. I mean, it can't be that way. I don't know if people just always look towards Jim Carrey's, they consider it to be an iconic take on the Grinch, but you can't do that on a live performance.
Oof, yeah, I don't know. Again, not to be just whatever. Like it probably, now of course I didn't see it, but it sounds to me like I watched was it 1 year ago or 2 years ago? They did a Christmas Story live musical on Fox.
Oh, did they?
And I love A Christmas Story, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 90 minutes. So Ralphie gets his BB gun, spoilers,
sure,
and it's over.
And that short amount of time.
The musical was, at least on Fox, 3 hours long.
Yeah.
There were some commercials, of course, but 3-hour musical
for a 90-minute movie.
Not good.
You have to cut it down. I mean, if those were maybe an hour tops with commercials, then I'm sure it would be a better production.
Well, I guess the idea is if you went to see a musical, like if we went to Broadway to watch the show, they usually are 2.5 to 3 hours long.
Yeah, but you get a break in between, and it's just a different setting.
I know, but I'm saying that if you had musical mindsets about this,
it'd be okay.
then it
was
wouldn't
so long.
seem like it was so long. I, on the other hand, I'm like, well, back to YouTube.
I know. I can't watch TV this long, guys. I'm not meant to. So if you watched it last night it was NBC for the Grinch, let us know what you thought of it. But I did not catch a lot of chatter about it.
Well, I caught none until you said something this morning.
Well, it's just because I saw the article. I was like, oh, that must have been last night. That was it.
Did not know it even existed.
Giving every novelty food the publicity it so blatantly desires. It's The Riot on RadioU.
You know how it is this time of year. Everybody is scrambling to get those Christmas presents together. one way or
You're
the
at
other.
that time. You got to get it done soon.
And with COVID, there really are a lot of product shortages. There just are. Things that you would expect to be able to go into a store and buy. Not so much.
And they're just telling you that for several of the items that I've been getting, they keep telling me it's into January when they'll get here. But by the time the shipment actually starts, I've been getting them, but they're just not sure themselves, it seems like.
I did have a moment last night where I ordered something and they were like, guaranteed delivery by December 19th. And I was like, great. And then as soon as I ordered it and they took my money, then they were like, oh, shipping's running longer than normal. And I'm like, whoa.
You knew that before you got my money.
You knew that? You should have said that up front.
I know. It's different times. They want you to still buy it, but it's taking longer than everybody's used to.
Well, there was an accident at sea that I'm going to...
Oh, no. Is something sunk?
Did you see it?
No.
The cargo ship in Japan?
No.
That lost here. I got to send you a picture of it. I feel like words don't really do it justice. You know how you see those big barges that are carrying, like a cargo container.
Oh, it's so full of things.
So it's like one of those cargo containers goes on a boat or on a semi, and then it gets driven somewhere.
Remember the shipping structure that they said would make a nice house if you just moved into it? One of those long ones?
Those, yep.
Well, imagine thousands and thousands of them piled high on these giant ships, and that's cargo, shipping. That's what they do.
And then imagine 1,816 of them going into the drink.
So they fell over? Did they just all topple over on the boat?
They're in the ocean. There are 1,800 of those containers that are gone.
They fell into the ocean?
And I was looking at that like, was there a PlayStation in there?
Please tell me.
Please tell me.
Please tell me. Was it a lot? You can tell us. We can handle it.
Please tell me it wasn't loaded with PlayStations
Maybe
or toilet
it was just
paper.
Cars. Maybe it's nothing that we're buying. We don't have to worry. It's nothing that involves us.
It was gold bars and cars.
It's fine. It's not our type of ship.
No loss there.
Or clothes, dress clothes. What if it's something like that? We don't need that.
Please, anything, but
Please
not.
be suits.
Don't be Xboxes, graphics cards. Please.
Well, it seems like they all toppled on each other, and then a lot of them just toppled right on into the ocean.
That's exactly what happened.
Aww.
And when you read about it, first off, I mean, as I'm reading, I'm just in full-blown selfish mode, like just thinking about me and my needs. But the ship encountered 52-foot waves.
So it was during a storm that it happened.
Yes. Wow. That's terrifying. No ocean for me. I can't.
Oh, hey, I think we're okay. So there were 64 dangerous goods containers that were lost. And then 54 containers had fireworks, 8 had batteries, 2 had liquid ethanol. So, I mean, that's a shame that's in the water now. But it's not stuff we were probably purchasing.
Nothing we were trying to buy for Christmas?
No, I don't think, at least from what they're saying, you would not see a correlation between a lack of product.
That's a relief.
It had a one long high swell, and the stuff just toppled into the water. So thankfully the ship is okay, but the stuff's in the water now.
And most importantly, the people are okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That absolutely is true.
Forgot about that one.
Well, sometimes these ships are so big you forget. Like you just think is it a robot ship or just running itself? But they say the cargo loss is believed to be one of the biggest weather-related cargo losses in history. Ever.
Man, and then we haven't even talked about like the stuff the government was shipping that they weren't supposed to.
That's not in this article. What are you doing there?
Just telling you.
No.
And all of a sudden, the George Bush weather machine was fired up to attack the boat.
No.
Or was that the Obama weather machine? Maybe it's just when you're president, you have a weather machine.
So it arrived in Japan on Tuesday. The container ship finally made it there. And it was northwest of Hawaii where it lost a lot of the stuff.
Anybody got your scuba gear?
I don't think it's in that.
I think it's too deep.
I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and remember, it seems like from that list, none of that stuff is something we'd go after.
Yeah, it's true. I don't need any ethanol right now, but thanks.
Riot Podcast, RadioU.
You know what? I fully admit that I complain until I get what I want, and then when I get what I want, I don't want it anymore. Mm-hmm. Or I'm just like, well, when I said I wanted it, this isn't the way I wanted it. And they're finally giving me
something that you want?
Yeah. I mean, it's not the Batman thing I keep saying. It's like, hey, can we have a Batman show? They're like, no, but we can give you a show about Batman's butler.
And it's Batman's butler when he was in high school.
Right. Can we have a show about Batman? They're like, no, but we can give you a show about the police department in Batman City that involves all the villains that Batman fought, but not Batman.
You never get anything from the main characters because they save that for what they deem is more important, which is the movie franchise.
Even with Smallville, I was like, this is great, but can we just be Superman already? Well, guess what? We're Superman already.
What are you getting?
In February, you're going to get Superman and Lois. Or is it Lois and Superman? That is a show coming to the CW. And it's a show about Superman and Lois.
But they already had that, right? Or
No. They didn't. It's back in the news again because they have unveiled the new Superman suit that he's going to be wearing in the show. And I imagine it's probably, for a long time it was about we got to get our superheroes as buff as possible. But I notice now they're just kind of wearing these suits that are augmenting.
Well, I get TV ones, yeah.
It's fine. This is just a side note. Guys, Superman's strength doesn't come from his muscles. It comes from the sun. So wouldn't it be interesting if we had a Superman that was like plump Superman?
No, I mean...
We wouldn't. I get it.
I don't think they would because those are unflattering outfits, so...
Maybe he wears a coat.
A coat? He wears a hoodie.
You're
like, it's 80 out. Like, why are you wearing a coat?
One of my superpowers is I don't get hot. I can also eat like you wouldn't believe.
But it covers those trouble spots because it's fine. You mean it? They all should look like Henry Cavill.
I'm just saying, Nikki, it's the sun that gives him his power.
Not his body.
Yeah. Though, I mean, let's be honest.
What if he cares about his body?
All right. If I had the option of a topless Jim Gaffigan, that scene in Man of Steel where he's rescuing the oil workers, it's one of my... Gosh, it's one of my favorite moments. Like, I freaking love that sequence. And where Henry Cavill is just screaming and he's pushing on the support beam. And I'm just like, I love that. I'm just like, yeah. And instead, it's Jim Gaffigan. He's working just as hard.
Uh-huh.
He's pushing just as hard.
He is, but his body is different.
And it doesn't work the same way.
It's not as powerful, right?
I totally get it. Well, what's this guy's name? Tyler Hoechlin is the guy for Superman. And it's going to be the Superman that showed up in the Supergirl show a couple of times. But this is just going to be a spinoff that will be about Superman and Lois.
Great.
So you know what? I need to.
You're not going to watch it.
Shut up and give it a shot.
You're not going to.
I know, but I need to try. It's February. We're going to be locked inside anyway.
No, it'll be February.
What will it be?
Yeah, it'll be fine. And where is this at on CW?
The CW. Hey, man, Nikki, they're the home for all your favorite.
I know, but sometimes we don't like their style with those shows.
I agree with you.
So we'll have to see what it is.
I often find myself at odds with just some of the tertiary items that, or the production value.
Well, you love Superman, and I'm afraid you're not actually the target. So
I'm not.
You're not the target they're trying to reach.
I
don't know if they want someone. I don't know who they want, but it doesn't seem like they ever really go after an actual fan of Superman.
I imagine they're trying to make a show about Superman that people who don't like Superman will like.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to reach me, and I'm sitting here going, I'm not going to watch it. And you're just like, please, I'll watch it.
Can he be super?
Can he please be Superman?
We've actually changed the name to Man and Lois.
Don't say it, because it might happen.
It's a story about what would Superman go through if he lost his powers.
And he gained the weight.
Where do you go when you need someone to listen to your problems and give you a big hug? Not here, obviously. This is The Riot on Radio U.
So there are, I mean, you could look at this for hours and hours and hours. Like, Google has released their search trends.
Oh, for the year?
For 2020.
Oh, is it all pandemic stuff and
Some
COVID?
of it's crazy. Well, if you want the overall top 5 searches in the United States.
Do I have COVID?
5 was coronavirus symptoms.
Yeah.
4 was coronavirus update. 3 was Kobe Bryant.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That was this year.
2 was coronavirus. And 1 was election results.
Really?
That was the number
More
one.
than the COVID stuff?
Yep.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? And then they just have, it breaks down, like, you would not believe how far down the road you can go with this. So, like, how about the how to make searches? Everybody was locked inside. So, how to make a mask without sewing, how to make a mask with a bandana, how to make whipped coffee.
Yes, because that was the big trend from the year.
How to make a face mask with fabric. Number one. How to make hand sanitizer.
So, everything was around that except for the coffee one.
Yeah. So let's see. Top 5 how-to searches. How to style curtain bangs.
That was a trend.
How to wash your hands.
That was because everybody was cutting their hair at home for a while, and people make mistakes at home, and that's when bangs come in. So.
Here it comes. How to color your hair at home.
Yeah.
How to plop hair.
Yeah, that's drying it and stuff and styling it up on top.
And then 1, how to cut men's hair at home.
Yeah, everybody needed that.
That was the top beauty how-to search. So here we go. Virtual searches. 5, virtual NBA. 4, virtual learning. 3, virtual Kentucky Derby.
That was big enough,
2
I guess.
Virtual museum tours, and 1, virtual field trips.
Which goes with the virtual school stuff.
Yeah. It's so weird when the top why searches of the year. You ready? Why is TikTok getting banned? Why is Nevada taking so long?
From the election.
Why was George Floyd arrested? Why is there a coin shortage? Why were chainsaws invented?
Boy, where does that one come in? Is that the hair stuff too?
Yeah.
Is that from the haircuts?
So here, let's hit a couple more. These are Google search trends for Google in the year 2020. Now, if you go those are all in the United States. If you back out to the world, top 5 searches were, number 5 was IPL. I don't know what that is.
IPL worldwide? I don't. Is that a craft?
I don't know. Number 4 was Zoom.
Sure.
3 was Kobe Bryant again.
Oh, the Indian Premier League for cricket.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
What do you mean? Well, that sporting would be huge.
Well, there's no ties in cricket.
Sure.
Number 2, election results. and then number 1, coronavirus. So, and I mean, the list just goes on. Top recipe searches, 5, lamacun, 4, pizza, 3, sourdough bread, 2...
The sourdough bread starter thing was a trend.
That was a trend. I did see that. And here we go. Your top movie searches worldwide, and I'll wrap on this. Number 5 was Contagion. Remember everybody talking about that?
Which one was that one? The
Contagion, it was like from a few years ago, but it was about an outbreak.
Oh, and everybody, was it Matt Damon? Maybe. I feel like it was Matt Damon. I could be wrong.
Maybe. You're trying to make Matt Damon happen, but it's not going to happen.
Nice one.
Number 4, 365 DNI.
Yeah.
I don't know what that one is. 3 was Black Panther. 2 was 1917. And then number 1 was Parasite.
Parasite.
But remember, Parasite won Best Picture back before the world fell apart.
That's it. So those are the Google searches from the year.
And I'll just tell you, if you're bored today, this makes fascinating reading.
It's actually interesting to look at all the stuff from the year.
Just to see what it is that people are searching for. Meaning, existence.
No, how to cut your hair.
How to
that
cut your
stuff.
Hair. Hey, man, you got to live, right?
Your hair grows. It keeps going. You got to cut it.
People win awards for being the best at things. Are there awards for the worst? Because we have a contender. Worst of the Riot Podcast.
Look, I love McDonald's. And if there's anything that the pandemic has done to me, it's my willingness to stop for some McNuggets has gotten a little...
A little free with that, but
well,
you know,
I mean,
they were always there, right?
I've had it clamped down. Like, hey, that's a celebration. Yeah, I don't live a real extravagant life, okay? You can only have those every once in a while. And, man, I'm just like, yeah, but if I hit the McDonald's app, Nikki, do you know that you can get check this out. Almost every day they have a deal where you can get a 20-piece, it's technically 2 10-pieces nuggets, 2 medium fries for like $6.
I mean, that right there.
I can't eat all of it.
But you can stretch that, and if you pop that back in the air fryer, it'll bring it back to life. So you could eat that later.
It's bad, guys. I got no room for that in my life. I mean, I'm making room for it, but no room for it. Happy Meals. You know, it was what you got as a kid that programmed you to love McDonald's. Because what did you get? Not only did you get deep fried goodness, but you also got a toy.
It was that and the fries when you were little.
Oh, I do love the fries, man. They're so good. Next year, I didn't know anything about this business arrangement, but it's amazing. Next year, McDonald's is ending its Happy Meal subsidy.
What does that mean?
Well, here's how it works. McDonald's, the franchise, paid the franchisees $300 a month. Mm-hmm. So basically gave them back $300 a month to incentivize them to buy Happy Meal toys.
Oh, okay. So a franchise could decide if they wanted to or not?
No. It was basic. I think, okay, I don't know, but I believe it was part of the deal. Like, you're going to buy Happy Meal toys. We're going to give you $300.
Gotcha.
To buy
the Happy Meal toys.
That's right.
I guess I always thought they were required to, like it was a national deal.
The Happy Meal apparently for McDonald's has been a loss leader, but the idea is kids want Happy Meals, so they bothered their parents until they drag them in. Mm-hmm. They get the Happy Meals and then make the money on mom and dad's soda or whatever.
I was reading an interesting article, though, like I think it's been hard for incentives for toys for food companies because there's not been a lot that you can actually... there's been no movies. There's no tie-ins to tie it in with what normally was the big blockbuster that was going around.
They should bring back those transformable robot toys they used to have.
Man, I missed it. I really wanted to.
They did that, didn't they?
Yeah, they had like these old school toys that I'd never seen, but they were so cute and neat. And apparently Happy Meal toys were a lot cooler back in the day, but they brought back this retro toy set.
Yeah.
But it was just for a short time and no one got them.
Well,
like you weren't able to.
Starting next year, McDonald's is like, we are not going to, corporate is not going to provide a subsidy to the franchises
anymore
to buy the Happy Meal toys because they say the Happy Meal is no longer effective at generating business.
So then if a franchise wants to continue with the toy stuff, they got to pay their own money.
That's right.
They're not getting that anymore.
That's right.
Interesting. I guess I didn't think that's how that went.
Interesting. I have to wonder. The McDonald's in my hometown there, they're always doing crazy stuff. Like, I mean, they haven't in the last few months, but they would always do things like meet Santa, Friday night, 6 o'clock, McDonald's. It'll be from 6 to 8.
I don't know if that's, is that approved on a national level? Or is that like the local franchise?
I think that's the local thing. They'll be like, meet Elsa, meet Mulan, like meet whoever. They would always have these characters like Spider-Man and Mulan hanging out at McDonald's. Come on, kids, get in here.
So they're trying to get them in.
Yeah, they always have it out on the sign. And I'm just like, what the heck?
But you can't get your ice cream thing to work, can you? So it's fine.
As a kid, you never question, like, let's see, Spider-Man, you're supposed to be patrolling New York City, but you've got time to take 2 hours out and sit at a McDonald's in Pataskala?
That's just how it is, to be that young.
You don't think those things through. I'd kind of like to get back to that.
I want to go and then meet Mr. McNugget. It's like he's handing out McNuggets.
Spider-Man, who cares? Where's Ronald?
I know. Give us something else. It'd be nice, if you remembered everybody else is going every day.
I want to get a hug from Grimace.
No, we can't do that.
No hugs. I want to wave 6 feet apart at Grimace.
That sounds fun.
The Riot is well-versed on many different topics.
They're shy at first, but they're quite skilled at conversation.
This is The Riot on RadioU.
We've got a new Monolith that's popped up. That's something. Isn't that great?
What is it?
The monoliths, those shiny metal things that keep showing up places.
All right. So it was in like Utah and a few other places, and then it would disappear. It was gone.
Now we got one in North Carolina.
What's it doing there?
Fayetteville. So it's it's only 3 feet tall.
Well,
it was installed upright in a raised flower bed located on the sidewalk. And that just looks like a parking meter.
It doesn't look the same as the other ones. I feel like people are just jumping in on it.
Yeah, the metallic monolith has landed in downtown Fayetteville.
Brought to you by downtown Fayetteville. Come see it, but in a safe way.
They keep trying to make it. It's so funny. There are all these photos of it, and they're taking it from ground level, so it seems huge. It's 3 feet. It's a yardstick, guys.
Oh, that's too bad. It's not the same as the other ones.
I guess in Fayetteville, you get a little bored, You got occasion to drop a monolith here and there, not a euphemism. So they have it there. You know what? It's a bummer, right? I want these monoliths to mean that the world's about to make a massive change towards that Galactic Federation thing. Or whatever, and it's going to be so great. And there's going to be all this amazing new technology, warp speed, the cure for cancer, the cure for poverty.
It's not it, though. Before COVID, these mysterious things would have been ominous to us. Like, what's going to happen? What's this thing? What's this about? Now you're looking for any distraction. So you're like, this might be good. Might be a change in things. Let's see what this is. It's just people just putting them out.
Or it's like an ad for a streaming service. Pretty soon it's going to be like...
The Monolith Plus? It's your new streaming service coming... that's Discovery.
For only $6.99, Monolith Plus is going to bring you monolithic entertainment.
Is this Chip and Joanna Gaines' new thing? Is this the Magnolia one? Is that why it's in a garden bed? Oh my gosh.
You did it. You cracked the code
is
right here.
Who's doing this? It's Discovery, isn't it?
Nikki, you're going to have to make the talk show circuit. You're the one that figured it out.
If the next one's in a kitchen, that's like all the Food Network stuff. Like, where's this going?
It's perfect. Like, we're everywhere Monolith want to be.
Aw.
Yeah. Well, there it is.
So it's in where? Fayetteville?
That's in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
North Carolina.
So maybe it's getting closer to your home.
You'll see. Or if you just want to, get one.
Enjoy yourself a little monolith. Come see the monolith and get a free Chip and Joanna Gaines sticker.
People would come if that was it.
I know.
So
Dude,
that's not something you should say.
If they have a monolith at Magnolia, that's it. You're going to bring the home people and the alien people together.
No, they're redoing it. They're going to redo it.
It's perfect.
They're flipping it.
Is this with some shiplap?
Yes. It's perfect.
The worst podcast with the best listeners. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Where do you guys get your anime? Now, before you say nowhere.
Which might be, at least we assume most people, if you're watching anime, it's probably more what makes it onto Netflix or a larger streaming service that's more of a everyday anime.
Sure.
But that goes deep.
You know what? There's a few anime on Netflix I've started with full intentions of watching.
Just never end up finishing it.
No, I don't. I started that Ghost in the Shell series they ran, and I don't know. I just keep stopping. I've seen like 5 episodes. I did the same thing with Ultraman. Ultraman's actually really good. Like, I mean, like, good. And I just like, yeah, just watch it. Well,
maybe because Netflix is you're easily distracted then because you're like, well, maybe I don't really feel like watching it, so I'm going to go watch something that's not anime.
Yeah.
Where if you find yourself on some other streaming services that specialize just in that, if you're in there, then you're like, well, what else? It's just all anime anyways.
Well, I'll tell you what. Anime is big business in the United States. I didn't realize how much because we had actually talked about the rumor for this a while ago, but it looks like it's happening. Sony owns a company called Funimation. Funimation is an anime streaming platform. Mm-hmm. They are buying Crunchyroll, another animation streaming platform.
And if you're like, what's Crunchyroll? Then you're not in that.
Then
but
it's not your thing.
It's an anime streaming service that's been around for a while.
Here's the hook. Here's where the dollar amount will get your attention. $1.175 billion.
How is that? How is that possible? How can there be that much money in that?
There must be. There must be. So the question I have would be like, are they? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, so Warner owned Crunchyroll because on HBO Max, which I have, they have a Crunchyroll section, and it sucks. Like they'll put
it's not their biggest stuff.
No, they put like 7 or 8 series on there, none of which I personally was interested in. It just felt like almost a throwaway thing they put there. I guess that'll probably end up disappearing, but they are selling it to Sony instead. So then I wonder how much, like, will they combine to form a super service?
It'll probably just fold into something else.
Yeah, I don't know, but the deal is pending. They have to get regulatory approvals, but we are talking about almost $1.2 billion dollars.
I only used Crunchyroll to watch Sailor Moon, but that was about it.
I've subscribed before because I watched. That was my first run through Space Battleship Yamato, $21.99. That is so good, guys. So good. And they also, for a while, they had a couple of Gundam shows on there that I watched, but I don't subscribe anymore.
That was it. We'll see what it turns into. All these other streaming services.
Yeah, well, to me, it's just wow dollar amounts. There's a lot of money in streaming services. Who knew?
In case you're wondering, yes, we do get complaints.
They have gone too far. This time, they are going to be held accountable.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
You got $25. Do you? Do you live in New York City? The answer is probably yes to one and no to the other.
So what would the 25 get us, though, if we were there?
If we lived in New York City and we had $25, we could throw our name into the arena to do a special Airbnb at FAO Schwartz.
So I remember when I was younger, that was like a toy store in New York City.
It still is.
I think you could, like, didn't they always come out with a Christmas list of this extravagance, like, toys that you could get? Do you remember they used to come out with that each year?
Yeah.
It was like, here, you can have this young adult airplane, like it'll fit you, and you could go flying.
Right.
You're like, what's that?
It's like, here's a supersonic transport for one.
For one.
Ages 12 and under.
Yeah,
only $1.3 million.
Under 80 pounds.
Yeah.
But it was, it was almost like we went to Toys R Us, and there was this other type of toy store.
Other toys. That
and you didn't know about, but it was in New York.
It's in New York. Dude, it looks awesome. It's probably best known for, I don't know when the movie came out, but there's a Tom Hanks movie called Big, and there's a scene where he dances on a piano.
And that's from the store?
That was at FAO Schwartz. Kind of an iconic thing that put it on the map for poor people. Because rich people long since knew about it. And
we had no idea.
Yeah.
But I thought they closed down a long time ago. They're still around?
See, I thought they did too. But apparently they still have a 20,000 square foot, and this is their quote, toy wonderland. Mm-hmm. So they are turning it into an Airbnb. And that all starts, let's see, in 5 days from now, December 15th, 2 p.m. Somebody is going to be able to book a night in that place as an Airbnb, and It looks so cool.
So is it for charity? Everybody pays a certain amount for the chance to try to win it. Where does that money go?
Oh, you know what? That's a good question. Do you lose your $25? Like everybody pays $25 and someone wins?
I mean, you're paying $25 for the opportunity to be included in the lottery for it. I just wasn't sure is that going to the store or is it like, a charity event that they're doing? It feels better if you tell me it's a charity thing.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm just going to read to you exactly what it says on Airbnb. It says, the holidays may look a little different this year, but that's no reason to get your tinsel in a tangle.
Nice.
The magic of the season still sparkles, and I'm inviting one New York City family to experience it in an overnight adventure at one of the world's most beloved toy stores, FAO Schwartz.
All right.
I think it might be a
contest?
It says it's a one-night stay and not a contest.
The contest is like winning the chance. So, like, are you the one that's chosen out of everybody? Similar to what they did with the last Blockbuster at Thanksgiving time. Remember they had that as a one night you got a one-night stay for an Airbnb competition.
I should have dug a little deeper into this before I started talking about it. So here's what which is
pyramid
most of the
scheme?
riot. No, here's what it is. FAO Schwartz is going to make a donation Airbnb will make a donation to St. Jude's Research Hospital.
There it is. Okay.
But I don't think you lose your money. I think that this is just something where they're throwing this event and they're going to get it. Like, I don't think it's a matter of everybody pays $25. Good luck.
Oh, I thought you said everybody had to pay $25 to get like a ticket for the chance to possibly win the night.
I don't think that's it. I think it's just a matter of somebody is going to log in, get this for a night, $25. And gosh, it would be so fun.
I feel like you have to already be in New York City, though. Like, you're not supposed to be traveling there. So
no, you do. You do. That's why I said you have to be a resident of New York City.
Okay, good. All right.
So
well,
it's not,
that makes more sense. Not like
just
we
for
can
anybody.
win.
Well, I mean, Nikki, we weren't going to win anyway.
You still want the chance sometimes.
I mean, I've given up on the illusion. I'm just talking to you about this really cool thing that someone else will experience.
One lucky family will have the chance.
I'm really looking forward to spending a night in my bed and then having breakfast at a drive-thru.
Yay!
That'll be less than $25 probably.
That's perfect.
Proper planning prevents poor performance. Clearly, the riot didn't properly plan. This is the worst of the riot on RadioU.
Are you looking for a good time tonight? I'm just kidding. It's not going to be fun, but it's something you can watch. Tonight at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, the 2020 Game Awards will happen.
Oh.
The Video Game Awards.
I kind of wanted you to say, I was excited. I was like, hey, what's going to be on? And this is an opportunity to watch something maybe I wasn't going to watch. Yay.
I know that I should be okay with what I'm interested in, but there's part of me that's just like, heck yeah, dude. Just watch it.
I assume it's just streaming.
Yeah, streaming everywhere. It's on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook Live, Steam, directly on GameSpot. It's on TikTok and something called Trovo. I have no idea what that is. I'm sure it's something real important or something.
That was probably terrible. No, it's fine. It's an interactive live streaming platform, Obi, where you can check out the hottest games and share your own gaming. So it's basically like Twitch.
I don't want any of the hottest anything. Just forget it.
Like, I don't want anything else. I can't handle anything else.
Whatever. So that's happening tonight. They will, it'll be the Game Awards. Here's what's funny. I'm not interested in the awards themselves at all. What I am interested in is that basically it feels like every major game company is like, we're going to make an announcement at the Game Awards.
Oh, so you're more interested about the news that we'll be talking about tomorrow.
Exactly. I want to know, like, some people are saying that there will be some surprise releases that take place tonight. Cool. In
2022? What?
Probably. Microsoft has been hinting with their Game Pass that they're going to announce a bunch of games that will be available this month. And I got nothing else. Whatever. Something announcements.
Is there any details on, like, who's up for the best game?
Would you like to know?
Yeah, we'll take some of the list.
Okay, how about Game of the Year? We'll just start there.
Perfect.
Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII, the remake, Ghosts of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, The Last of Us Part 2.
Animal Crossing. I know it won't win, but it's nice it's at least on the list.
I'll have to say, on that list, I think that's a strong contender.
Well, if you went by like hours played from everyone stuck in quarantine since the beginning of this year, Animal Crossing from its release would win, but it's not the same as some of the other games.
It's not. But that actually,
so
again, I feel like that gives it an edge.
But it depends on the type of award show. Some don't like to acknowledge that side of stuff.
That's true. I'll just tell you that if anything went mainstream and like so many people were playing it, especially beginning of the year, holy crap, Animal Crossing, right? Let's see. Let's scroll down. How about best mobile game? You've got Among Us, Call of Duty Mobile, Genshin Impact, Legends of Runeterra, Pokemon Cafe Mix. Mm-hmm. So those are the top ones. And then, like, there's, other stuff in between. Truth be told, those 5 games we said for best game, what do they call it?
The
Game of
games?
the year?
Yeah.
Those 5, they're pretty much nominated for every other category. It wasn't.
It's not deep, guys. There's not as many games as you think.
It wasn't a big year for releases.
It's just not as much. But remember, it's not about the necessarily who's winning the game awards today. It's if there's any announcements coming from companies.
That's what I'm caring about.
We will cover that tomorrow if there's anything big.
It's 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, and it's on all the streams. All Zism.
The Riot. Just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not good. Wait, isn't that exactly what it means? It's The Riot on Radio U.
So one of the big stories that Nikki and I keep talking about is what's the big hotness for Christmas this year? New game consoles, right? Mm-hmm. You got the Xbox Series X and then the PlayStation 5, but it's all about the resell. People snag them up new, resell them for almost twice as much on eBay, Craigslist, whatever. So how much money are these people making in these resellers? Well, the people at Tom's Hardware did a little math.
They did?
And they say that just from console resales, they were able to find $23 million that were made by people
reselling
selling them on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and whatever.
It is so, I really hope next year, I know it's not going to happen. Everybody's busy with things now.
Sure.
But I really want that industry to have Amazon and every other place, but a lot of it is Amazon. But I really think that they need to have a real talk about the bot buying side of things,
right,
and the reselling side of things. Because even, last spring, I think it was Amazon had started to get a little rough on resellers who were obviously selling items that were way inflated. But there has to be something because it's just going overboard and you just want to buy something.
I feel like it's one of those things that a lot of retailers, and you kind of alluded to this, either don't have the time to care or, the bandwidth or which I guess is the same thing. But you know what I mean? They're just look, we can't deal with this right now. But if online shopping continues to be more of a thing in the future, because this year it's been bigger than ever.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think at some point they've got to be hey,
why?
we got to figure something out because it's just not. It's one thing that a bunch of people go wait in line to buy something.
Sure.
It's another thing when you literally can't buy it.
Well, it's even another thing okay, fine, I got to get up at 3 a.m. that day. That's great. That's a part of the fun of the process.
Yes.
But if you're waking up at 3 a.m. and there's no chance for you to even get something, why when I buy something, I have to jump through all these hoops on I'm not a bot sort of clicks and letters and number combos, but then suddenly these bots can just tear through a console's release and just buy them all up. It's really something that has to be addressed eventually.
It's annoying. I think part of I would still consider, even though it's fairly mainstream, these Xbox, PlayStation consoles still kind of niche. It's not, I feel like you're going to have to see more of this hit a more mainstream audience for it to be taken super seriously.
I think if you look back to when toilet paper was almost that was overbought,
right.
Not by bots itself, but it was overbought by everybody going in and taking 3 or 4. And then a lot of people were trying to resell them that way, or hand sanitizer. I think that kind of was people's first experience of wait, why are you selling it to me at such an inflated price? Or why'd you buy them all up?
just so I could charge you more.
I know, and that's wrong. So who knows where it'll go?
It's one of those things where it's like, it's not technically wrong, but sure does suck. And the only way that we can keep it from, like, really keep that from happening is you have to not buy them. You have to let them sit there with their inflated inventory and not give them the money, because you're rewarding the behavior, which means just as retailers are going to escalate their game, so are they. Yeah. There's a lot of money on the line for them.
But they wouldn't do it if they weren't making a lot of money doing it.
Oh, man.
The worst of the riot is over, but the fun can keep going.
Hey, I saw you checking out my goods.
Check the Riot blog or stalk us on social media.
You want to sample them? A little try before you buy, huh?
Through riot.radiou.com.
I was looking at pictures of you in the hot tub.